my ladies and pretty gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Look What's Happening in the Spirit Realm with yours truly, Light. Today I have a message that's a bit like one of those horrible fairy tale stories that the original stories of the fairy tale stories had to say. This is a lot about predestined situations to some extent, due to past events that I guess the parties involved didn't know how to react to. But I'm going to start by saying this. There is a situation right now. This is a very specific message, and I've been getting this download for a couple of days now. There is a situation where you're not aware of this, but you are clearly the prize. So much so that there has been a horrible kind of foul play to the extent that friends and people who may have been in good standing have actually lost touch with each other because of you. And it's not about because of you. It's not like that. It's deeper. It has a lot to do with their own past trauma as well. But we're going to deep dive today because I have several pages worth of notes for this one. You were in a particular situation. You could have perceived it easily as being rejected or being turned away. But there was a lot of stuff going on in the background of these people's lives that you did not know. And a lot of elements about you, right? As soon as you were in contact with these specific energies that we're going to be talking about today, they knew exactly the role that they wanted you to play in their life. They knew where you stood in their life. The feelings that they had about you were clearly defined. And that's the reason why they either did not want you around, or they mistreated you, or they felt a certain type of way and felt insecure enough to sort of run and hide or act up in some fashion. It was because it was clear. There was no if, ands, or buts. I'm going to find out who this individual is to me. No, there was a certainty and a definitiveness about what they felt about you. It wasn't the same for you. And you didn't notice this, but you gave off an energy when you first encountered these individuals, these energies. It could be one person for some of you, it could be a couple or few. You didn't exactly mean it in a bad way, but they didn't make any kind of big impact initially with you. And believe it or not, these energies are the energies that, I'm going to say this quote, believe it or not, I have been around long before you knew me. This is the energy that I'm picking up on. And you did not notice, but your reaction was being nonchalant. And some of these energies took this very personally because you did make an impact. They did immediately take notice and they couldn't just shake you off. But you, on the other hand, I don't know whether you were in a particular stage in your life where you were concerned about certain things or you were just enjoying your time, but where this was the predestined element that I'm talking about. You didn't notice these energies. It wasn't a big thing. They had to come into your vicinity over and over again for you to pick up on them oh, I see. It was kind of like that for you. But for a lot of you, may not have ended up in that way. And this is the push and pull energy that we're going to be talking about today. Their feelings, I want to say, burned bright. And because of that, they had a lot of struggle in their mind. Especially because they did not want to be in the bottom. This is an energy that didn't want to be catering to you. Perhaps they felt like things around you were catered to you for whatever reason for some of you, but they didn't want to cater to you. They didn't want to be in the bullpit, pulling other people's hair out in order to get noticed. They didn't want to be perceived in that desperate light. So there was some things that you faced with this energy. The predestined element that I mentioned at the beginning of the video has a lot to do with the fact that you triggered a lot of past elements in their life. Because more often than not, this energy, for a masculine energy, they struggled with commitment or committing to people that were ruthless towards them. And for a feminine energy, It's more of an energy that felt like they've been mistreated. And for very few of you, it could be an energy of someone who may have been left to deal with a child. They may have been left to deal with something very life-changing on their own. Take it how it resonates. But due to their past sacrifices and the knowledge that they initially had about where you stood in their life, they felt like what they were willing to do for you was a lot more than what they've done in the past. And that alone was scary, because this is an energy that gives. For whatever purpose they're giving, that's something that you need to discuss with God about. But this is a giving energy. And having you clearly defined in their life in that initial moment, it was like a very scary experience to foresee for them that they were going to be pouring into you a lot more than they were even willing to, I want to say, entertain. So they were living in the gray area. And I want to say something in particular that really turned the tables here was perhaps certain things that you may communicate with people that they've heard of, or you communicated with them. And these are bold ideas that you might have. These are things that you've learned about yourself that has completely altered the way that you perceive your self-worth, whatever the case might be. There were a lot of these green flags that appeared very red to this energy because of the fact that they couldn't manipulate or change your mind about certain things. And you were coming off as a very dangerous individual. Like, even if you were loving and kind, there was an element of being dangerous. Like, you could be reserved. And if this is a masculine energy, you could be more to yourself. You could be more focused on stabilizing the ground that you walk on before you try to seek validation from outside. And if this is a feminine, you're so encompassed in what you bring, what you are nurturing within yourself, you don't present as an energy of lack. And even in moments that you might feel alone or needing something extra, there's a very sound centeredness about your being. And from that perspective, you have expressed, whether you were conscious, cognitive of it or not, you did express certain ideologies that threatened this person, albeit it piqued their interest about you. It made them feel intrigued and even more attracted, I want to say, because I did write this down, madly attracted, actually. And I'm going to say this here. There were points that you were making that you may have spoken to other people about, or you spoke to them about, that resonated completely with the fact that they felt as though you were on the same plane as them. And this is where I'm going to make this warning. Be very careful at this time of people who present like they're on the same plane as you, the same plane of frequency or vibration, because a lot of them are either in the transition period of really embodying the responsibility that comes with presenting in that kind of energy. And if they're not embodying that responsibility, they're going to feel undeserving of your presence. They're going to feel like they have to test you or punish you for making them think that they're not good enough, that they haven't yet quite made it, because it's an internal thing that they haven't completed integrating. So this energy, more often than not, may have presented as the same level as you in so many instances. But this is exactly why they pushed you aside, because they finally found a reflection that can actually embody all the factors that they've said they live by in their life. And seeing it, I want to say, made them believe that they had a lot of room to either grow, or it made them rethink who exactly they want to be with, what role they want to play in a dynamic. And more often than not, if this energy did play these games and play these tricks and run away, it was because they realized they didn't want what they were presenting. They don't want themselves. They don't like themselves. And you, being a reflection, proved that to them. So this is where the major control issue resides. And this has a lot to do with past heartbreak, right? Boo-hoo, cry me a river. There's a lot of emotional betrayal for this energy. And as I mentioned, for a masculine, it was having people commit to them that were wicked, to say the least. And for a feminine, it was issues with either having affection returned or issues with a loss of a child or a divorce. Again, this is very specific. This part right here may not be for everyone, but this is more of the situation that I'm seeing. But there is a plot twist here. Someone else, right? This is what I mentioned in the beginning of the video. There was a friendship that cracked because of you, a friend group of some sort. And it could be a loose connection between friends or a tight-knit connection of community. It collapsed because you presented a struggle. You presented an element where these people, these friends, these people, energies felt like they had to compete to be approved to some extent, right? Or they did not want to be competing to be approved. And that comes from what? The energy of lack. That comes from the energy of feeling like they don't really deserve you for whatever fucking reason. So this is what happened. You may have been spotted for a particular opportunity, for a particular purpose, whatever reason, for a relationship, by people who were involved with each other, right? These could be friends. So what happened is that in the process of these people kind of seeing you loosely entertain them, right? You may have entertained them from a point of view of like, I really don't care about what this is going on. I don't care to investigate this any further. And this was an initial reaction, an initial frequency that you had embodied. And that really did strike a nerve. In this energy that I'm reading, it struck a deep nerve where you were probably walking around on mines and you didn't even know it. And what happened is that a particular energy felt incredibly insecure about their friend or about a person that they were in community with because they felt like maybe you preferred them, even though that wasn't even the case, even though that may not have been something that you were even thinking about. You could have just been having a conversation, you're living your life. And in this process, things could have gotten very, very, very ugly. And I want to say this because jealousy is really a really ugly thing. And for some of you, this could have gotten to become a very dark situation. Because what started off as a light, I'm going to ruin my friend's opportunity with you, could have ended up with someone feeling addicted to the power that they were holding between this community. And this power is turning on them. This is what this video is about. This power is beginning to digest everything in their life because their intention was to rid you of any opportunities that you may have had because you challenged their need to be approved by you. They did not want that. They hate that. Whoever this energy is, they hate it. They hate feeling like they have to be beneath you in some way, even though that's not the case. And it happened because you are a perfect reflection of all the elements that they cherish about themselves. They cherish who you are. And a part of them feels like they don't like who they are because of who you are. And they believe that you are them. I hope this makes sense. Oh God. So what ended up being a competitive, like, well, I'm not going to compete and neither are you. What started as that kind of small little, fit has now divulged into something completely grotesque. And this energy is so dark, it's turned against itself in so many ways. And whoever this energy is, their progress, right? Because you may have met them at the cusp of them needing to transform into the figure that they've been molding. But they've escalated themselves. They have completely digressed several steps back. And for some of you, this is an energy that is somewhat reminiscent of your past life. I want to say that. This is an energy that in some ways you're karmically tied to work through this energy, this trauma, to heal it. Because for very few of you, this could be a twin flame situation. Oh God, every time I say that, I want to just jump off the window. It could be a twin flame situation, hence it being a past life thing, meaning they are your past life. And for others of you, this is just a lesson, a karmic situation. So I'm going to end this video before I get too complicated by saying that in a situation that you felt like you were at the bottom, you are clearly the prize. You are clearly the fucking prize. And it's time for you to start acting like it. It's time for you to stop doubting yourself if you did. And to stop believing that the projection of other people making you believe that maybe you're egoic. You're not. You're not. You were never being egoic. And you have every right not to pretend to be impacted by someone's show of superiority towards you. You have every right. And may the chips fall where they should. Because a lot of us are not going to be knowing the details, the full details of this collision. But I am your reporter here for September, checking in. I hope you enjoyed this reading. And as usual, I don't reach out. Those are scammers. If you want to reach out to me, my email is in the description box, and so is my Instagram, as well as my TikTok, and I have a now up and ready merch store for those of you who want to support the channel. Until then, ciao.